I have felt profound anger that she has been subjected to sitting in front of a person who tried to break her.
Today, for the first time, images shown to the court in the Sean Diddy Combs criminal trial made public.
Diddy's court case is fast becoming one of the most sensational cases of the year.
And the judge in Sean Diddy Combs' trial is expected to decide this morning.
For years, he has done unspeakable things, and finally Nemesis is catching up to him. His family watched as the video proof of his charges were played in the courtroom. His twin daughters were particularly ashamed of what their father allegedly did. They couldn't bear it anymore, and what they did next was something that shocked everyone. What did they do? Let's dive into the details. The courtroom scene. Courtrooms are usually not this silent. Yes, the judge would call for silence and order, but one could still hear a little background noise here and there. But on that day, the judge didn't have to call for silence. At first, everyone was murmuring under their breath about legal strategy and whether Diddy's star power might draw some sympathy for him. But the moment the video evidence began playing, the audience in the courtroom was too stunned to speak. It was sinister. True, the fluorescent lights used in the video were faint and grainy, yet it was unmistakably Sean Diddy Combs in the video.
Some of the accusations of abuse against music mogul Sean Diddy Combs.
We want to warn you that this video you're about to see is extremely graphic. The surveillance footage that was captured inside of a Los Angeles hotel.
There was the timestamp blinking in the corner of the video. From the sounds to the actions, it was undeniably Diddy in the video committing these atrocious acts. His family, who had come to court today as a show of support for him, lowered their heads in shame.
Sean P. Diddy Combs' family arrived for day one of his trial.
How is your father feeling today?
Among them were his twin daughters Jessie and Delilah Combs. They looked at each other, finding it hard to believe it was really their father in the video playing. They couldn't take it anymore. What they did right there in the courtroom shocked everyone. Jessie and Delilah at first tried to pull a bold face and calmly endure the evidence presented against their father. They understood the importance of standing with him. It could present Diddy in a good light with the jurors. This could help persuade them to make decisions in his favor. So the twins sat frozen as the screen rolled.
Diddy's family is by his side as he appears in court.
But moments later they stood abruptly, whispering to each other in panic. Jessie's eyes glistened. Delilah held her sister's hand as they rushed out of the room, brushing past murmuring spectators, their heels clicking against the marble in hurried retreat. They didn't look back. Behind them, the whispers resumed. It was as if their exit broke the silent trance in the room. The impact of their exit was loud. One of the reporters in the courtroom commented that if there was any doubt of the fall of Diddy, their exit cleared it. It was no longer a matter of speculation. Diddy's nemesis has finally come. But the video was not paused as the twins left the courtroom, and things got even more shocking. As the buzz of the twins leaving quieted, the audience's attention went back to the scene. The video was labeled Freak Off 2013. It was introduced into evidence under sealed protocols. Some portions had to be redacted and other frames blurred to protect the identities of some of the participants. But this didn't diminish the heavy weight of this footage in proving Diddy's guilt. The first part of the video was revealed to be a Miami penthouse. It was simply lit. There was some music playing in the background. The camera seemed handheld, so the entire recording was a bit chaotic. There were some erratic movements of bodies and shadows. The face of the cameraman was never revealed, but one could hear his voice. And the prosecutors claim it was Diddy. His voice sounded deep and controlling. It was a bit slurred too, like he was drunk. Although forensics hadn't definitively matched the voice, those who knew him swore they recognized the voice as his. He was saying things like, "Turn around, show it to me," and so on. Inside the courtroom, jurors stared at the screen, shocked. Despite the prior warning that the video contained some graphic details, nothing could have prepared them for this. One of the women on the panel brought a hand to her mouth. A man near the end of the box shifted his chair as if to distance himself from the screen. This was the point the twins decided they had had enough. The two 18-year-olds had decided to show up in the court to support their father in what many thought was an unshakable show of family unity.
17-year-old twins Delilah and Jesse have all been in the courtroom.
But that unity shattered within seconds of the video playing. Their exit wasn't interrupted. No one tried to stop them. Everyone understood. Shortly after they left, the video finished playing. After the screen went black, silence reclaimed the courtroom like a fog. But the shocking revelations were not over yet. The judge, noting the emotional toll the video had on the jurors and audience, not to mention the exit of the twins, called for a 15-minute recess. After the recess, the court resumed. The first witness called on the stand was Cassandra Ventura. Many people know her as Cassie.
Cassie Ventura is sharing her story. The pregnant singer, who is currently expecting her third baby with husband Alex Fine, appeared in court May 13th to testify against her ex, Sean Diddy Combs.
All eyes were glued to her as she walked to the witness box. What made her particularly interesting was that she was heavily pregnant. She wore a long beige maternity dress that was a bit loose and flat shoes. Some wondered whether it was to disguise the pregnancy. There were so many questions, but we're about to get some answers. One thing about Cassie in that witness box was the calm confidence she exuded. She didn't hide her face, didn't shield herself from the rows of eyes or cameras. There was something disarming about her composure. She didn't seem angry or hardened, giving the shocking detail she was about to share. When the prosecutor asked about freak-offs, she didn't blink. She started her story from the beginning. Her story with Diddy began when she was 21. It had started small. He had made it seem like a game, just something they did for fun. He told her it was one way she could prove her commitment to their relationship. It was disheartening to hear her talk about it. She thought it was about trust and love. Things had started privately between them at first. Soon, Diddy demanded for more. He would ask her to try things she found strange. Things. He told her he would just film her. It wasn't so bad, so she agreed. But he didn't stop there. He started adding people, escorts, and at times, complete strangers. Sometimes these would be women Cassie didn't know until that night. Things escalated gradually, so she didn't realize how far gone she was until it got really bad. To make matters even worse, Diddy would call these escapades adventures. He would frame it as loyalty tests to prove her commitment to him. She revealed screenshots of texts from Diddy with messages like, "Be ready at 9, I want to see something tonight," and "No attitude. You said you'd ride for me." She admitted to using drugs, ecstasy, cocaine, even pills she couldn't identify. Sometimes Diddy handed them to her himself. Other times, he had someone else do it. She clarified she never felt like she could say no. She felt if she said no, he'd leave it worse. He'd bring someone else instead and make me watch. It was that bad. She narrated what happened on one particular evening. It was in 2016. Diddy had arranged for their usual meetup with other people, but tonight was worse. There wasn't just one stranger.
Sean Diddy Combs' ex-girlfriend Cassie Ventura has been the star witness at his trial.
But 5 men. The courtroom sat shocked. The prosecutor finally asked Cassie if she ever loved Diddy. Everyone held their breath as they waited for her response. She responded with no hesitation that there was a time at the early stages of their relationship that she thought she did. He made her believe that fear was devotion. When the cross-examination began, the defense tried to reframe the narrative. Diddy's lead attorney leaned on Cassie's past statements, videos, and posts that portrayed her as willing, even enthusiastic. He presented clips of her laughing at parties, photos from lavish vacations. He would make comments like how she was looking happy and free in some pictures to portray her as a willing participant. One would expect Cassie to deny, but she didn't. She told the court that was her coping mechanism. She was masking her pain with smiles. But the defense attorney was not done. He pushed the argument of consent, emphasizing that Cassie never filed a police report at the time, that she stayed for years, that she benefited from the relationship. He elaborated on how she even got a career out of it. Her response was again immediate. She didn't deny. Instead, she said she lost more than I gained. She lost herself. There was something else that was deeply disturbing that Cassie said. She alleged that Diddy often blurred the lines between relationships, that her own timeline with him overlapped with Kim's. Kim Porter and Diddy had a complex on-and-off relationship that spanned over a decade. Together, they had 3 children, Christian Combs, who was born 1998, and their twin daughters Jessie James and Delilah Starr, whom they had in 2006. Kim also had a son, Quincy Brown, in 1991, from a previous relationship with singer Al B. Sure,
R&B singer Al B. Sure breaks his silence on dating Sean Diddy Combs' late ex, Kim Porter,
whom Diddy helped raise. One day, Cassie said Diddy said something that she would later pound her on in later years. He said she wasn't the only one. She was just the one who stayed. He also said she should be careful with her health and her heart in particular. She didn't think much of it at the time. But when Kim Porter had suddenly passed away, she began to draw the parallels. The prosecution then hinted at a chilling undertone that Cassie allegedly became increasingly paranoid after Kim's sudden hospitalization, just weeks before her death. Cassie began to worry, and she even told some friends she was afraid she'd end up like Kim. There were whispers about Kim's final months, though nothing was confirmed publicly. Kim Porter was found dead in her Los Angeles home in November 2018. The official cause was lobar pneumonia. Now, with Cassie's words echoing those rumors, the courtroom sat in tense reflection. But almost immediately, whispers began. Why did someone so vibrant and healthy die so suddenly? Why was Diddy, usually so performative with grief, so silent, so calculated in the aftermath? There's more. Cassie's revelations were not limited to Diddy. She widened the scope to include the sprawling infrastructure that she claimed enabled his alleged abuse. She confirmed what many people already suspected, that there were more people involved in this atrocity. There was a whole system around him, making sure Cassie stayed where he wanted her, when he wanted her. She began naming names, some of which are redacted in court records. From personal assistants who booked rooms under aliases to travel agents who shuffled last-minute flights to Miami, Los Angeles, New York, or Ibiza, with 0 questions asked. Security personnel who shadowed her movements, reported her tone, her time alone, even her facial expressions. Diddy had gaslighted her that it was for her own protection, but Cassie didn't feel these people were just helping. They were there to manage her. Jurors shifted in their seats as Cassie described the logistics of the so-called freak-offs. The phrase, now haunting the case, wasn't some random slang, it was institutional. She alleged they followed a pattern. There would be rooms pre-stocked with specific narcotics, escorts flown in and introduced as stylists, videographers posing as content creators. In some cases, she claimed fake travel documents were arranged for international trips she couldn't recall consenting to. The sessions weren't brief. Some lasted 36 to 72 hours, often blurring into days. There were unnamed lawyers, label representatives, even club promoters who allegedly looked the other way, choosing loyalty over legality. As the audience in the court was having mixed reactions to everything they've heard so far, so was the rest of Diddy's family. Diddy's family reaction. Apart from the twins' abrupt exit during the court hearing, Diddy's family members didn't show much reaction during the court proceeding. But during the recession and after the close of court hearing for the day, they lost all composure. They showed how devastating they were by the shocking revelations they saw on the video and Cassie's testimony. Some people mentioned how they saw Janice Combs, Diddy's mother, in the gallery nervously clutching a rosary so tightly her knuckles paled.
Sean Diddy Combs' mom is coming to her son's defense amid her son's legal troubles.
She must have thought she had a moment of privacy to allow her to show how deeply affected she was by the court hearing. If there was one thing about Janice Combs and her children, it was her unwavering loyalty to them. She had sat stone-faced through most of the testimony. She mouthed silent prayers as the courtroom played audio from one of the videos, but her eyes never left her son. When the footage ended and the court recessed, she bowed her head, not in defeat, but in what looked like quiet devastation. She wondered just how things get so messed up. Janice Combs was born Janice Smalls during a turbulent time for Black Americans, but she has always maintained a strong sense of dignity and style that she would later pass down to her son, Diddy. She was raised in Harlem, New York. This was where she picked up her love for modeling. When she came of age, Janice worked as a model. This was a rare and bold career choice for a Black woman in the 1960s and 70s, but she made it a successful career path. She was known for her poise, striking appearance, and impeccable fashion sense. Everything was going great until she married Melvin Combs. That was when everything changed. Melvin was a United States Air Force veteran, but he later took a dark turn when he became involved in the drug trade. Janice's life didn't remain the same. The devastating blow was when Melvin was fatally shot in Central Park in 1972, leaving her to raise their young son, Diddy, alone. Despite the tragedy, Janice maintained stability for her son by working as a teacher's assistant and ensuring he received a good education. Her emphasis on discipline, self-presentation, and ambition deeply influenced Diddy's drive and persona. As her son rose to fame in the music industry, Janice remained a constant, often seen supporting him at red carpet events and award shows. But despite her best efforts, she wondered where she had missed it. Across the aisle, Diddy's sons, Justin and Christian, also kept their distance. They sat side by side, but not once did they look at their father. Christian kept his arms folded, eyes fixed on the floor. Justin, visibly agitated, checked his watch often, barely staying for the full session. Neither offered support or acknowledgement. And then there were the twins. One reporter noted they were shaking as they left the courtroom. Another said they collapsed into each other in the hallway, crying. As the courtroom slowly emptied and the media frenzy mounted, one thing became clear. This was no longer just about Diddy. Assistants, travel coordinators, security staff, even booking agents are now under quiet investigation. Each played a role in arranging, concealing, or facilitating what prosecutors now suggested could be part of a criminal enterprise. The case had begun to widen its scope, with prosecutors hinting at racketeering. What had once appeared to be isolated accusations from Cassie and a few other women was now taking the shape of a coordinated operation. The phrase racketeering changed everything. It evoked the kind of organized structure typically reserved for crime syndicates, not record labels. But when stripped of celebrity gloss, the pattern was eerily familiar. If proven, this could shift the legal battle from personal misconduct to federal crime. Public perception shifted just as drastically. Diddy, who was once revered as a pioneering hip-hop mogul, is now being re-examined as a case study in unchecked power. For decades, he curated an image of luxury, ambition, and mentorship. But that image had cracked. Now, every flashy yacht party or closed-door VIP room was viewed with suspicion. Every industry insider who remained silent looked complicit. And culturally, a reckoning had arrived. Women who had long remained quiet, whether out of fear, NDA restrictions, or disbelief that anyone would care, were finding their voices. Former dancers, assistants, and ex-girlfriends began speaking up online. What comes next could reshape not just Diddy's future, but how the industry protects the vulnerable. Prosecutors may pursue broader charges. Other moguls may find themselves under similar scrutiny. And for the first time in years, survivors of abuse within entertainment's most powerful circles are not just whispering, they're being heard. What do you think of Diddy's twins exiting the courtroom? Also, what's your take on Cassie's explosive revelations? We would love you to share your opinion in the comments section. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Also, click the next video shown on your screen. You will enjoy it.